health and well-being for our sponsor, Mullen Natural Health Centre, Hamilton.
And great to be back this week. Peter Mullen, welcome, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mark.
I haven't seen you for a little while.
Yeah, at least 2 weeks,
At least 2 weeks. Kind of missed you, Peter. Kind of missed you. And look, you've missed us so much, you've actually brought in a guest this week as well.
I have brought a very special friend in today, Ben Armstrong. Ben's the owner of the Apothocary Kitchen in Hamilton. So after the break, we're going to be talking, or we're regulars at the Apothocary Kitchen. They're just around the corner from us in Hamilton. And we absolutely love what Ben does with food. So when we heard about his head chef Dan being diagnosed with cancer, we were keen to help. So today we're going to be talking about a charity event we've got coming up. And I thought, while we've got Ben here, Ben's an expert on fermenting. We'll get to pick his brains about fermenting, how we got into it, and, you know, maybe some tips to get us started as well.
It is Health and Wellbeing with Peter Mullen. And Peter, we're going to get right into it this afternoon with our special guest, Ben.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's. Can I try that again? I've completely wrecked it on you. Some microphones will help if you want to have a chat. There we go.
You're trying to not get me to talk today.
Well, I know I need you to talk. You're the expert in these. Well, you guys are the experts today. I know I'm very, very low school level in this area.
Oh no! Look, it's definitely a growing area of interest for a lot of people, diet and nutrition. And we're here today, as Mark was saying, with Ben Armstrong, the owner of the Apothocary Kitchen in Hamilton. So welcome, Ben.
Thank you.
As naturopaths, you know, obviously we've talked a lot on this show before about or the enormous importance of having a healthy diet. On discussion with you, I love your take on food and healthy eating. How would you sum up your philosophy around food?
I guess our philosophy is always a bit of a journey through historical cooking techniques, and we find ourselves needing to ferment to cook that way, and find ourselves journeying through traditional ways of cooking, and in particular, you know, Mediterranean styles of cooking, and then through that we realise that it's a healthier way to cook for a lot of reasons.
So the Mediterranean diet is a diet that's been around since forever. How would you sum up the Mediterranean diet, like as an approach?
It's certainly vegetables and healthy grains first, and meat is secondary and just a small part of it. And I think how we eat today, it's the opposite way around, and that'd be part of our problem.
Yeah, look, and I tend to agree with that. Like the way we eat these days is a lot more carbohydrate based, a lot more cereals and grains. Meat tends to be a big part, and even some of the popular diets out at the moment are promoting that we eat more meat. But I went to a cooking demonstration at your place not long back, and one of the things you said on the night really struck a chord with me, that we should basically be eating more like vegetarians, where the bulk of our diet is plant matter, and then have really good small sources or adequate sources of really good quality, sustainably grown and ethically sourced animal protein.
Yeah.
So I thought that's kind of along the lines of what you would recommend?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at things like paying the true cost of food and ethically grown meat, it's quite expensive, and that incorporating that into your diet, it needs to be done in a small way. And yet through doing it that way, you end up eating a much more healthy diet.
Well, when one of the reasons that we've been sort of banging on a bit about fermenting and fermenting foods is as naturopaths, we've talked for years about the health of the gut, and we've talked about that numerous times on the show, Mark, haven't we?
Almost to the exclusion of all other things.
But for us, it's such a central thing, having a healthy gut microbiome. And Ben and I were just talking in the car on the way over here, all the latest research on the gut microbiome, where they've actually mapped the different species that potentially can live in our gut. And the big thing that they're saying is a really good indication of how healthy you are is diversity. It's because there's over 1,000 different species of bacteria live in our gut, and it's the diversity, having that wide range. And one of the things that keeps coming up is that one of the things that really encourages a wide range of diversity in your gut is a plant-based diet predominantly.
Yeah.
So that's so I love that concept. And the Mediterranean diet, it's been linked to a number of health benefits, including prevention, reversal of things like metabolic syndrome, improved heart health, reduced risk for stroke. There's been studies looking at rheumatoid arthritis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. So as a health model, it's actually, probably one of the most well-researched diets or diet models that we've sort of come across. So I love that concept.
Peter, you mentioned the diversity of gut flora is paramount there,
Yep.
and that if we have more plant-based matter, it goes up, and the more meat we have, it seems to go down. Why is that? Is it that the plant-based encourages that diversity, or the meat is taking it away?
The plant base encourages the diversity, and they've done studies where they've taken someone from a vegetarian diet to a meat diet, and they've found that the gut flora has changed considerably in a short period of time. So, I'm a fan of still including some good, well-resourced animal protein, but having the bulk of it as plant-based. And Ben, so how did you get into the whole concept of fermenting? Like, what was the starting point for you?
Well, I guess, like I said, we tend to like to go back to the history of any one dish, and I'm pretty sure we were making a Reuben sandwich about 5 or 6 years ago, and one of the components is sauerkraut, and you can buy it in the shop in a jar for $3 or $4, or you can make your own, and that was the start of the journey. We wanted to make our own, and then we had to learn how to get a live culture going and how to do our own fermentation, and from there everything else
So
followed on.
started with sauerkraut.
It started with sauerkraut.
A journey starts of 1,000 steps begins with one, or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, with the sauerkraut.
It does.
That's a good start.
It does. And it's a very popular. The fermenting food's very popular now. It's like it's gaining some traction.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now people don't push it to the side of the plate, and we don't have to pretend that we didn't do it.
That helps.
Yeah.
Actually, I went out in Sydney. We were down for the weekend, and we went to a cafe, and they had a Reuben sandwich on the menu.
Yeah, right.
I thought of you, which is the pastrami, and then they had a really nice sauerkraut as well.
Did you have it?
Yeah, I did just to celebrate the whole concept of fermenting coming from your origins, Ben. So again, we're here with Ben from Apothocary Kitchen in Hamilton. And Ben, in the first section, we've just been talking about how you got into fermenting, the importance of, basically a diet that's based on plant matter, with small amounts, then of good quality meats, nuts and seeds, eggs, olive oil. Red wine seems to pop up a bit with the Mediterranean diet.
It seems to pop up with most diets that I seem to be aware of. Could be wrong.
It seems to be. There's a consistent theme there anyway. And I think actually I was reading something about beer. I think beer originally was originally a fermented product made from vegetable scraps and things like that.
Yeah, right. That's fairly niche. I'd give it a go.
I think that would be a great thing to try.
We're learning more about Peter Mullen as the weeks go by, aren't we? He's out the back scabbing through garbage bins, finding vegetables. Oh, mate, I'll start brewing my own beer now.
I think there could be a market in
as long as on the front of the
old-fashioned fermented beer.
As long as on the front of the can there's a picture of your face.
Yeah,
I think that's the way to go.
Okay, we don't know about that. We'll see. You and I together, maybe.
One on one side, one on the other.
Now, Ben, we were just talking in the break a little bit about, obviously, with what you do, food's what you do.
Yep.
The quality of the food is obviously of the utmost importance. Where do you source the produce that you use? What are some tips on where we could all be getting our fresh fruit and veg and stuff from?
I think the best place is a farmer's market. And when you get there, just to look a bit closer and make sure that you're buying actually from a farmer.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to an on-seller, and to just so that you know where your money's going, and also you can talk to them about how they grow it and whether or not they use chemicals, and you can also, doing it that way, you can fall in sync with the seasons, which if you're buying from an on-seller, that's not guaranteed. Can
you talk a bit? That's a fascinating thing. That was a big area of interest when I was at college 20 odd years ago. That concept of eating with the seasons. Yeah,
it really forces you to do without things for starters, which is probably a good thing. But also, when something's in, like a cauliflower at the moment is a big one, and cabbage, which is good. But you need to, your diet swings around that, and so immediately it sort of nudges you into using different grains, different meats, different cooking styles. Like we use a lot of miso at the moment just because it's going well with what's in season, but that may not be the case in another month or so.
Fantastic. And one of the things that, again, we were talking about this before about how important diversity is with our gut flora. A lot of us do just eat the same vegetables. Like a lot of my patients would have broccoli. If they're having broccoli, they'd have broccoli 5 nights a week. They'd be having cauliflower, maybe carrots. I still get patients come in that have potatoes, peas, pumpkin, and broccoli. So if you're eating just because that's what you always have, you're not going to get the diversity of someone that's eating more seasonally. So I think that's a great concept. And what about your animal produce? What sort of stuff do you look to buy at the farmers markets or elsewhere?
So again, we try to buy from the grower, or we do buy from the grower.
Yeah.
So we know how they're treating the animals, whether the animals are open range, free range, organic, whether they're using hormones and antibiotics. We can vet all of that by getting to know the farmer, and that's not assured if you go to the butcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And so having a conversation with the vendor, developing those relationships, and understanding where the food comes from.
Yeah.
Ben, you mentioned trying to obtain the produce from a grower as opposed to a non-seller. Is it hard a process to try and sift through and find out who is in which camp, or is it a fairly easy process once you start opening some conversations?
There are, at the farmers markets that we go to, there are signs that say whether or not they're a genuine grower or a non-seller, and
I guess if you are in that camp, you'd be wanting to promote that fact anyway, so it would be fairly open.
Yeah, it is, but you can tell relatively quickly. Yeah.
And with the and obviously in the taste, when you're eating the food that's come from well-resourced places or better resourced, obviously there's a big difference in the taste.
Yeah, there's a big difference in the taste, and you immediately notice the shelf life on something you buy from the markets because it hasn't travelled very far, and you'd be surprised at lasting more like 2 weeks as opposed to 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, wow.
So the journeys it hasn't been on, I guess.
Yeah, the places it hasn't been in the meantime. So again, back to our gut microbiome. I was reading an article recently, and they were saying that really important to try a wide range of vegetables as well, and plant matter. So I'd recommend anyone listening out there, don't just stick with eating the same vegetables day in, day out. When new stuff comes in season, when asparagus is out, when other types of vegetables that you might not normally think to try, that's a great way to try and encourage that wider diversity.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, very good.
Keep trying new things.
Now, with fermenting, so you told us how you got into fermenting, and you do a lot of your own fermenting foods from scratch. What sort of foods do you regularly ferment?
Cabbage is pretty much a staple.
As in a sauerkraut type thing?
As in a sauerkraut. It's I don't really understand the science of why, but it's very easy to get a successful fermentation with cabbage. So it's sort of the base of learning any kind of fermentation, and from then you can move on. Things like cucumbers are a little bit harder. Beetroot's quite easy. When Chinese cabbage are around, that's really great for making kimchi.
Okay.
And we do that when we can get them locally. And but yeah.
What about some of do you do some, I was over there, or a while ago I had some fermented porridge?
Yeah, so we ferment oats to make them more digestible, and that actually brings out quite a nice flavour, almost a sweetness in them, which is pretty special.
So originally, I guess fermenting was, as you said before, like more for necessity, that if you had produce, you fermented it because we didn't have refrigeration and things like that.
Yeah, and I think you think of Scottish porridge 200 years ago. It was sort of sat in the pot all day and then got heated up again the next day, and it's naturally fermenting, and the milk wasn't pasteurised, so it was taken
with no refrigeration back there. So the fermenting really played a dual role, kept everybody healthier, hopefully, and helped the food to last or be preserved for a longer period of time.
Some good secrets there, and some good ways to start with the cabbage and beetroot, some of those other great veggies. Get the journey started, Peter. Sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in URFM, it is Health and Wellbeing with Peter Mullen and our very special guest, Ben from the Apothocary Kitchen. Of course, Peter's been laughing at me all day because I could not say the name of your restaurant that well. I've been struggling all morning.
That was perfect.
I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go straight in there, boots and all, and say it. Not going to think about it, and I got there.
I think you must have been practicing that in your mind.
No, I really wasn't. It was a last-minute decision.
Oh, that was awesome.
Very last minute.
That was perfect.
I think we need to talk about the event that's coming up because, Peter, you've got a starring role in this too.
Yeah, well, we've got the event, as we were saying before, we've got a charity event on next Tuesday night, Ben, and the event came about when we heard about what had happened with your head chef, Dan. So Dan was diagnosed with cancer?
Cancer, yeah.
Yeah. How long ago, roughly, was that?
It's been 3 months.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. Yeah. And we were just sort of talking about in the break that, it's difficult when someone that you really care about has been diagnosed with something like this, and everybody really does want to help, but it's hard to know sometimes what's the best way to help. So we thought that was a great idea of yours to pull this event together, and actually all the money, Mark, from the night, it's a ticket sales, and but all the money from the night will be donated to Dan towards whatever he and his family need to use the money for. So
fantastic.
As I said, it's a great way for people that that you don't always know how to help in these situations. On the night, it's going to be a bit of fun. I'm thinking you and I will both have microphones on out the front. And
will this event be filmed, Peter?
I don't.
It needs to be.
It might end up more of a comedy show than anything. I'm not quite sure how it's all going to go. Today's a practice go for us, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've done all right.
We've done all right.
You're invited back next week.
Thank you.
Fine.
Ben too?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. So Ben, on the night, so it'll be a bit of a laid-back night. Obviously it's for a very serious reason, but we really want to celebrate health and gut health and fermenting as well. So on the night, you'll be sharing with us. You'll be doing a hands-on demo, which will be great.
Yes.
What will we be making on the night?
So we will be making sauerkraut as a room, 100 of us, hopefully.
As a room. So everybody will get a go of feeling the cabbage, having a munch up of the cabbage.
Yeah, I've got a special plan on how to make that happen.
Okay.
100 people feeling up cabbages. It can only get better from here.
What else?
We'll be doing a demonstration on how to ferment the oats and talking a bit about that, having a taste of that, having a taste of the sauerkraut. And we'll also be doing a small demonstration on kombucha and having a taste of that as well. Fantastic.
So people will get samples of or taste of all of these things as we go.
Very, very nice. Great event you got going there. It'll be very, very interesting.
It will be good fun, and we're keeping it very relaxed. Questions as they pop up. I'll be talking a bit about. I know a bit about gut health, so I'll be talking a bit about gut health, including like what it is to have a healthy gut, and more on the benefits of fermented foods, but tying it, hopefully the plan is tying it all together so it's fun, it's educational, and people go away with some really great tips on really how to, really make a big difference with their own health. And that's I guess our celebration going forward is what we can be doing ourselves to have better health in the, for ourselves as well. As I said, all the proceeds from the ticket sales for the night will be donated to Dan and his family. So it's on next Tuesday night at the Charlestown Multi-Purpose Centre in Charlestown. And if people are interested in knowing more details, they can get onto our website at Mullen Health. They can get onto our Facebook page. They can also get onto... Did you want to say it one more time?
Oh, the restaurant? No, yeah. I've done it once.
They get onto the
Apothocary. No. I should have stopped at one.
You should have stopped at one. Sorry, throw you under the bus there. They get onto the Apothocary Kitchen Facebook page as well. And we'll have details there and links. Click on the link, go through, and then you can book your tickets that way.
what a great event it'll be. And if you'd like to see Peter Mullen getting down with the cabbage and a lot of other things as well. And you'll see some great cooking demonstrations as well from Ben from the Apothocary Kitchen. So I thought I'd give it another go.
You've done well.
Ben, thanks for coming in today. It will be a good event, and fingers crossed we can raise as much money as we can for Dan on the Night.
Thank you.
Peter, you've got some other talks happening we need to wrap up with this morning?
Yep. So our next free talks through Mullen Health on the 1st of August, managing menopause naturally. We also, on the 8th of August, I'm doing a talk on managing stress and adrenal fatigue naturally as well, which is always a big topic at any time of the year, both stress and menopause. So if people want to know more about our free talks, they can check out our website or get onto our Facebook page.
Next week on the radio will be very interesting as well. I'm looking forward to it already.
Actually, I've got you and Rob lined up. I might bring some samples of into some skincare product. We're going to do detox your skincare.
What, do I need it that bad, do I?
Well, you know, us men need to be looking after our skin just as much as maybe not as much as the ladies, but, you know.
We need to have a go.
We'll ask Rob. He said he had some good tips. So
okay, so you'll bring in some samples next week.
Yeah, I think I will. I think that's a great idea.
I'll talk to you between now and then on what I think you need to bring in.
What, for me or for yourself? Or?
Oh, for myself.
Yeah, okay.
But look at Peter. I mean, if you watch,
send me an email.
If you watch the podcast of this program, Peter's already looking fantastic. He's an Adonis. Have a look at him.
Yeah, well, you just
more
want
free samples. More free samples.
Yeah, that's it. You just want me to promote your website, your dating website, which I'll get back onto next week as well.
Okay, we ran out of time this week, Peter. Thanks for coming in, Health and Wellbeing. We'll talk to you next Tuesday afternoon on the radio.
Thank you, Mark.
And just on the Fermenting Food fundraiser, next week we do have some information about that at our community events calendar, which you can find at 2NURFM.com. It's right in the centre of our webpage. We've got the news tab, drop down to community events calendar, and you'll find all the details there.